That's right. Yeah, kids are very good at that. If you say we're leaving in 5 minutes, okay. We're leaving in 2 minutes, they're okay with it. If you say we're leaving now, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the S. They're very steady, but they are the ones who will keep going and they'll keep things working for you.
Right.
The C's, we're brilliant.
I don't know. I beg to differ, but go ahead.
we're the compliant types or the conscientious types. The problem is, and I always was accused and always thought I was a procrastinator. No, it's called paralysis by analysis.
Right.
Analyze stuff too much. Now, since I learned about the disc and since I started using it, one of the things that I forced myself to do, I'll get a problem, a situation, whatever, and I'll start analyzing, working on it, and I will at some point set enough. Now move forward, because otherwise I'll sit there and I'll analyze and whatever. So knowing your own behavioral style can help you
communicate with those that have a different style. For example, what would be the best way for you to communicate with me, considering you're more slow and steady and conscientious, and I'm like, okay, I need it now.
Yeah. First thing I got to do, if I'm going to come into your office and I know that you're a D, I got a pretty good idea that you're a D, I'm coming in there all business. Well, you know what we have to do this morning, or here's the information you need, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if your I component happens to be pretty strong that day, then I know that I need to come in and say, hi, how are you doing this morning?
Right.
I was working with a group in Winnipeg, and the office manager she was eye off the chart. And I said, Trudy, what's your reaction when somebody comes into your office and says, this is what I need, let's get started, et cetera, because she worked with a lot of Ds. She said, my first reaction, so what's wrong with you? Can't you say good morning? Yes. So consequently, she misses whatever they said.
Because she's thinking, you didn't say good morning, I need that first.
Exactly.
You know, it's almost like, you know, I need my cup of coffee first before you start talking to me.
Exactly.
What about me communicating with you?
In the communication component, we're to a degree. We're both big picture people. We walk into, for example, we walk into a cocktail party. Both of us will scope out the room.
Yes.
And we'll check it out to find out where things are and who's doing what and whatever. And so when you come and talk to me, I want to know the big picture.
You want to know the big picture, but how do I talk to you? Because I'm more, we need to do this, 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 and you're like, oh, okay, I'll take it into, you know, you'll do your...
As long as you come in and say the big picture is, if you will, the whole project is such and such, and what we need to do is part of it, and give me and walk me through it from that standpoint. It's not a great problem. But if you walk into me and say, I need this done, and then I need this done, I'm going to want to know why.
Right.
So it's just a case of working like that. And in working with different companies and talking to different people, I had the luxury, as far as I'm concerned, of going with a company across Canada, Vancouver to Toronto, and working with them, and I got them to buy into having everybody do the disc in advance. It was amazing how they changed, how they talked to each other. And they started thinking about, and I always say, okay, your team, who's on your team? George, Mary, whoever it happens to be. How do they need to receive information? Oh, well, I hadn't thought of that. Well, maybe you should, because maybe you're having a trouble with George simply because you're not talking to him correctly.
In the way that George understands.
In the way that George needs it.
So obviously one of the keys, you have 7 keys to inspired leadership, and you know, talking about leadership and communication. First of all, know yourself, know the people around you. The other thing is you talk about communication planning and follow-up. That's a big thing for you.
Yeah, I've kind of taken the 7 keys when I'm doing a major project with a company. I work with the 7 keys because you have time to do that. But when I'm doing a shorter thing, I basically say it's what we have to do is first of all plan, and most of us, I say, don't do that very well. The communication component's the doing part, but I have to be communicating with. If I want you to assist me, to work with me, or even to accept what I'm proposing, I have to communicate well with you, and it's about you. It's not about me. And that's the other aspect we've got to remember. It's not about me, it's all about the other person. And then follow-up. If I could invent a magic pill that everybody could take and that would automatically make them follow up, I'd be richer than Bill Gates, because everybody needs it.
That's where people drop the ball, isn't it?
Oh, terrible. And I was employed a long time in a particular organization, and as I was getting to the point where I was thinking I should move on, I had a young, enthusiastic person come into my office and say, well, we got this problem, and you know what we really need to do is we need to get a team together and figure out what we should do with it. And went through my head just like that. I've been on 4 teams with that same project. And nobody ever followed up. Those people who could. Now, it's always got to be the people who have the authority, the ability, etc. But nobody had ever followed up. The last thing I want to be on is another team.
Oh, another meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, meetings are another thing.
Well, another topic we can talk about altogether. But you know, certainly in Alberta's economic situation and labor shortage, I mean, communication skills as far as maintaining and keeping your staff are crucial at this point in time, right?
People don't leave companies, people leave bosses.
Something to keep in mind.
And they leave bosses because, and this has been proven time and time again, that yes, there are times people leave a company for a particular reason, but for the most part, people leave bosses because of the way they're treated, and throwing more money at them won't keep them. It'll keep them maybe in the short term, but not on a long term. So and a lot of companies are really worried about how do I keep people, how do we build our team, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, it's just the market. They blame the market. The market's so strong, everybody's being hired away, et cetera. You know what? If you treated them better, talked to them, made them part of the company family, if you will, you'd retain a tremendous number of them without adding the dollars.
And of course, we can extrapolate that to interpersonal relationships as well.
Oh,
right?
yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been very enlightening.
Super. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. We've been talking with Garth Roberts. For more information about the book, here it is, or Garth, you can log on to www.garth-roberts.com.